In my civilian life, I used to teach English, and one of my students, who is also a good friend, used to say, Scooby-Doo, where are you? And I do love that pronunciation, Scooby-Doo. That's very Brazilian. But when you say that in Portuguese, what verb do you choose? Ser or estar? Because where are you is it's the verb to be. So you have to choose which one. And that's exactly what you're going to learn in today's episode, the difference between ser and estar, and most importantly, which one should you use in what situation. And since you're here, if you find this video useful, consider subscribing to my channel. Even better, like this video. This helps me a lot if you think it's really useful. If you think it's not useful, just tell me why. You can comment in the comment section. Do it now if you can, and I thank you very much for all of your continued support. And now, let's get started. And the first verb we're going to look at is the verb to be, ser, but here, ser is always associated with some kind of essence, the, the being inside yourself. Hmm? You'll see that a lot in those examples that we have. For example, when you talk about origin, this means you want to know where someone is from or whether someone is of a certain nationality. This is an origin. Então, eu sou brasileiro, sou de Fortaleza. De onde ela é? Ela é da Alemanha. Ela é alemã. Another good instance for you to use the verb to be is profession, because profession we think it's our essence, you know? It's not John, the salesperson. No, it's not John, it's the salesperson John. Actually, that's what I meant. Because, for example, in my case, people look at me and they say they see a teacher rather than Ellie. I don't know if I should be happy. Ok. Então, os exemplos são eu sou professor, minha mãe era engenheira e meu pai era contador. But here you should pay attention to a fact that you could use estar here, and I'll tell you in a moment, or actually in a few minutes, when and what is the implication of using estar here. Another good situation, it's when you are talking about permanent characteristics. It might be emotional or psychological or physical too. For example, José é alto e muito simpático. And alto is a physical characteristic and simpático is a psychological characteristic. And when talking about my lovely city where I live in, is Salvador é sempre quente no verão. Okay, so it's the essence. Salvador é muito quente no verão. Sempre é quente, não muda. Another situation when you want to use ser is like, look at this woman. She's asking for help and for direction, and she's asking where something is. In that case, that question would use the verb ser in Portuguese. And here you're talking about location of things that can't move. Onde é a avenida da universidade? We don't expect the avenue just go around and, you know, it has to be there. So, onde é a avenida da universidade? Essa escola é no Rio de Janeiro? Não, é em Salvador. You might contend here and say, hey, but schools can move location. Yes, they can, but we don't expect that to happen, okay? And when we talk about location of things that can't move in Portuguese, we can also use the verb ficar. Onde fica a avenida da universidade? Essa escola fica no Rio de Janeiro. And ficar is much, much more common here in Brazil. I heard, I'm not sure, that in Portugal, é is much more common than ficar. Another situation you want to use the verb to be, or ser, in, is when you have impersonal sentences and phrases. And here you might think, whoa, what's impersonal? Is it that when there is a social or emotional distance because of that? No. An impersonal sentence is a sentence that follows this structure. There is it plus to be plus an adjective plus some optional complement. For example, It is good in English, right? It's great, and it's possible that. But we are not studying English here, so bye-bye sentences, because we have some examples in Portuguese. Infelizmente, não é possível fazer isso agora. É muito provável que hoje a praia esteja fechada. É muito provável que hoje a praia esteja fechada. And here you see the subjunctive there, esteja. If you want to see more about the subjunctive, just check the description, the video description below, and I will include an article for that. Okay, so, and when you are talking about time, but not, for example, how long or stuff like that, when you're talking about chronological time, for example, hoje é segunda-feira. Que dia é hoje mesmo? Quero dizer, que dia da semana é hoje? Que horas são? São 2 da tarde. Now, and when you talk about possession or belonging, it's like it's mine, it's not yours. In this case, you also need to use the verb to be. De quem são esses óculos que estão em cima da mesa? De quem são esses óculos que estão em cima da mesa? Ei, esse pedaço de bolo é meu. Não coma, por favor. Ei, esse pedaço de bolo é meu. Não coma, por favor. And of course, when we have some religion or when we lean towards a specific political view, we belong to it. It's like it's part of our essence. And that's why we have sentences like muitos brasileiros são católicos and este político é de esquerda, aquele político é socialista. Este político é de esquerda, aquele político é socialista. And what's that? Oh, there's a bass and this guy is furiously playing the bass. And where is this concert taking place? I don't know. But when we want to know that, when we talk about where things or events take place, we also use that, the verb to be. Onde é a aula hoje? É na sala 32? A peça que nós vamos assistir é no Teatro Módulo e não no Teatro Jorge Amado. And here, now we are going to shift gears a little bit and take a look, actually, not see, but take a look at the verb estar. And whenever we talk about estar, you can think of this passing or this movement. It's always moving or it's always transient. Is it a word in English? I mean, it's temporary. It's always a state or something related to that. For example, when we talk about a temporary location, hoje estou na escola, mas amanhã vou estar em casa. Onde estão as crianças? Eu estou aqui para vê-las. Onde estão minhas chaves? And see, those things can move. Children move, you move, and the keys also move. And when you talk about a temporary or transitory characteristic, and here you might contend that, but being dead in the first example here is not a temporary or transitory characteristic. Yeah, that's true. But being dead is the result of a process, and it's it's a transition from being alive to being dead. So we use meu marido está morto. And if you don't know that, it's actually from a meme that was very popular here in Brazil a few years ago. And you will see that in the screen. I'm sorry about the wording, but that's something that many Brazilians now know. Now, meu marido está morto. So that's the transition from being alive to being dead. Now he's dead, está morto. Este bolo está muito saboroso. O que você colocou nele? And again, the cake is like tasty now because of the process that was before. So there is a transition from being something and to being the result of something. And it's also transient because the cake can go rot, can go bad, and you might not like it anymore, right? Then, o Paulo está muito bem vestido hoje. Normalmente, ele não é assim. Estou um pouco cansado porque trabalhei bastante hoje. Again, that's the result of something. And hoje está quente. And this is a common mistake. People say, hoje é quente. No, hoje está quente because the time goes by and the weather changes. But if you want to say about the characteristic of a city or a town in general, you could use hoje é quente. No, actually, é quente aqui. And when you talk about actions in progress, here you really want to keep that in mind whenever you speak Portuguese. Because even though you may say rationally, I know that, I don't need to worry about this, your mind is going to trick you into believing that you don't know, and then you're going to use the wrong verb. When we talk about actions in progress, we need to use estar. O que você está fazendo com esse computador? Eu estou apresentando o meu novo negócio aos possíveis investidores. And things get blurry when using ser and estar in Portuguese because sometimes you can use ser, sometimes you can use estar. For example, você é muito inteligente. Fico orgulhoso de você. And here is it's a permanent characteristic, or a characteristic that is believed to be permanent. However, você está muito inteligente hoje. O que você andou lendo? It's like, you're not usually intelligent. Why are you so smart today? So there is this difference. Likewise, we also have sou professor. As I said in the beginning, eu sou professor. Essa é a minha essência. That's my essence. But estou professor, maybe I don't like my profession very much. I'm here, but I think it's temporary. And that's what other speakers would understand if you used estou plus your profession. Estou enfermeiro, estou médico, estou administrador. This means I'm here, but just for now. Don't count on me being here next year, probably. And now, Jang, wrap up. Well, when we talk about origin, we use the verb ser, and also when talking about occupation or profession, when talking about permanent characteristics, location of things that can't move, impersonal sentences and phrases. Well, you know the drill. If you want to know more, of course I know you will do that. You'll check the article or the supporting article that I wrote to go with this video. And the link is in the video description below. Now, if you want to have some lessons, if you are ready to improve your Portuguese fast, go to trial.intermediateportuguese.com and there you'll see what I have to offer. Muito obrigado por assistir esse vídeo até o final e até a próxima. Tchau!